Hi, I'm Alistair Ben, and welcome to Lightroom Processing in 5 minutes. What I want to do today is reassure people that the files they are seeing in the back of their cameras and when they import into Lightroom are an awful lot better than they think they are. I get this a lot on workshops where people come and they think that the files that they're getting are less good than maybe some shots that professionals are taking, and they worry that there's something wrong with their capture process. Now, what I want to do today is very, very quickly work this image, which was taken in the Gobi Desert. I think it's in the evening as the sun is starting to get a bit softer. And as you can see from the top right here, the histogram is exposed well to the right. And what this is meaning is I'm gathering good data. But what it also means is that the image looks kind of washed out and low contrast. So what I want to try and do is just very, very quickly work this file here in Lightroom. I'll do it live, so there's going to be no speeding up or anything, just to see how quickly we can reintroduce color, contrast, depth, three-dimensionality, and all of these things that people look for in images. So I'm just going to very, very quickly start by underexposing this image and taking it down until it's a much more mid-tone and shadowy image. Now, I don't have a black point here. I'm not just starting randomly by doing black points and white points. There's no process in this. This is just a way to get the image to look great quickly. Now, by darkening the image somewhat, you'll notice that the colors get more saturated because saturation is directly linked to the brightness of the image. The brighter it is, the less saturated the colors are. Now, if I introduce contrast by raising my white point, you'll see quite quickly that we're creating a much more colorful and much more dynamic image. Now, it's important to say that there's no single way to process an image. There's no like holy grail method that's going to deliver exactly what you want for every single image. So therefore, we can't just say, do this, do that. We have to make judgments. If we want this image to have impact, then we introduce contrast. If we want it to be dreamy and ethereal, we reduce contrast. And this is the direct correlation between those two things. Now, something else I want to do is take some of the heat out of that color. It's very warm right now, and so by cooling it a fraction with the temperature slider, you can see that we've taken some of the heat out of those warmer tones. Now, a couple of things I want to do is I just want to grab a quick gradient and pull that up from the bottom, and I'm doing that diagonally because there's a bit of a slope to this, and I'm just going to add some clarity to the foreground, and that's going to make it feel a little bit closer. And I will also introduce a little bit more on the white slider, and I might just make it a little bit moodier in there too. So all of these little decisions I'm making are spontaneous. So I didn't have a plan when I started this image. I'm just letting the image speak to me. Now I'm going to add a second gradient and pull it down from the back. And I'm going to see what happens if I cool the white balance in the back by pulling down the temperature slider. And it's made those shadows in the back a little bluer and a little bit more diffused and distant feeling. And you can actually take the clarity slider down, and if you really take it down, it gets really dreamy back there. See what happens if you increase the clarity. It makes everything kind of crunchy and a little bit more detailed in the back. And what you're doing is you're basically saying that the stuff in the back has got the same contrast as the stuff in the front, which doesn't make any sense. So I prefer to let it get a little bit dreamier back there and then open that up somewhat. So by changing the white balance, you'll see if I increase the temperature of the back, then it makes the back warmer, and the overall image is going to feel more optimistic. Whereas if I cool the back, it's going to feel as if it's a little bit more moody and ominous. Looking at some of the other videos in my series, you'll see that I make a great point all the time of saying, listen, we need to introduce mood, we need to introduce atmosphere, we need to introduce emotions into our landscape photography, because that's why we're there and it's what we're doing it for. I'm quite happy with the way this thing's looking. I'm just going to quickly go in with the spot removal tool. You'll see down here in the bottom left hand side there's a little tick box that says visualize spots, and what that allows you to see is just the way that the spots create a little mask here. And it's a reasonably clean sensor, which is miraculous because I've been shooting in the desert for so long, but there we go. If you don't see this visualize spots, hit the T key and that will tab it on and off. And that's a really good way to see that little adjustment brush there. So there we have it. I might just come in with an effect and just drag down a bit of a vignette there. I think I'm going to make it a little bit darker because I am a bit of a moody guy, and increase the contrast a touch more just to give it some luminosity. The overall white balance is looking good to me now, where it doesn't feel too much. I'm going to go in and quickly adjust that top gradient, and again I'm just going to play around with that white balance slider to make it feel just about right. It's almost worth touching the magenta slider and the green slider to kind of dial that in a little bit more too. So there we have it. An image in less than 5 minutes with plenty of contrast and atmosphere. It's got depth, it's got 3-dimensionality. And is it the only way I could do it? No, it's not. I could do this video tomorrow and it'll be different. But it's a snapshot in time, and it just goes to show how quickly we can do these things without making a big song and dance about it or using presets or any other shortcuts. Take ownership of this, understand the emotional impact, and your images will get better for it. So have a great day everyone, all the best. Bye.